So let's write a program, our first program in C++. Let's talk about how to go from pseudocode to C++. So here is a problem, and while we take a look at that, I'm going to start up Visual Studio Express. This program is asking us to input a minimum and maximum temperature and then calculate and display the average temperature. So the inputs, there's two inputs, the minimum temperature and the maximum temperature. We're going to name them this way. Our output is average temperature, and here are the steps to do that. We have to get the input, add the numbers together, calculate the average, and display the output. And here are my steps in pseudocode. We've done a little desk check, and so we have a good idea that this logic is correct. So we want to turn this into a C++ program. Let's create a new project. I'm going to call it average temp. So this will create a place for me to type my C++ code. When you start typing code, you have to be very mindful of syntax. Always at the beginning, make sure to start with your name. Make sure to start with a sentence that says what you're doing. This program will calculate average temperature. All right, we need to include IOStream in order to use cout and cin. You always need to also include using namespace std. These are just standard things you will always do. We want to make sure that our program, our code is well organized. And so here's my pseudocode, and here is what we are working from. Let's start with, we need to start with declaring our variables. All of the variables used, not just what's in my input and output, but all of the variables used need to be declared. And so my desk check shows me what all the variables are. We need to choose an appropriate data type. It looks like for all of these, double would be the best data type. So double max temp, since they're all the same data type, we can just put them all on one line like this. All right, now we need to get input. So that was the next step in our pseudocode here. So get input is going to be, we'll need a cout statement to prompt enter minimum temperature. Then we'll have to store that value into a variable from the keyboard, which is represented by cin. Same thing for our other input. Now we need to get the total, or add the numbers together. So the comments are how you keep sort of on plan of what you need to do. So we're going to say total equals min temp plus max temp. That's an assignment statement. Now we can calculate the average. So my average is going to be total divided by 2. Now we want to display the output. So based on whatever the sample output is, we're just going to, in this case, we'll say the average is, and we'll print out average temp with a new line. So just looking at this syntax a little bit, you know, you have to make sure that these guys are in the right direction. Basically, they point to the direction where data is flowing. This prompt is going to the monitor. Cout represents the monitor. Cin represents the keyboard, and data is flowing from the keyboard into the variable. And so that is the right direction. All right, so we think this is a good program. we need to try to run it. Let's go to debug, start without debugging. It asks me, do I want to build it? Which we do. We'll say yes. And we'll test it with some data from our desk check here. So in my desk check, we've got our minimum temperature is 40, my maximum temperature is 80, and so the average is 60. So that looks like the correct answer. I will copy, I'll select all, grab that text, and come back to my program at the very end. We'll use a /* to open this section of comments and a // to close them. All right, it looks like we have another test case, so I'll run it again. And my second test case is my minimum temperature is 35, maximum is 90, and we get 62.5. So as of right now, however the decimal places come out is what you have. We're not going to talk about how to format that more specifically yet. And so there is the complete program with variables declared, a section for input. We're doing our processing steps, and there is the output. And followed by the actual what happened here at the end.